and with the changing international environment. For many years, development cooperation was a defining feature of our engagement. That cooperation supported Bangladesh's economic progress, human development, and resilience, and helped strengthen institutions, expanding access to education and healthcare, and helping to reduce poverty at scale. But of course, today, as Bangladesh has transformed, so has our partnership. The UK-Bangladesh partnership is now a modern strategic relationship. It spans political dialogue, trade and investment, climate action. We're working together to strengthen our defence and security cooperation. We're working to tackle irregular migration. And we're collaborating on regional challenges, such as the Rohingya refugee crisis. Following the mass uprising in July 2024, Bangladesh has navigated a delicate and important democratic transition. During the interim government's tenure, the United Kingdom worked closely with the former Chief Advisor, Professor Yunus, his advisors, and Bangladeshi institutions to support reform, stability, and to help establish a pathway to elections. Our approach throughout was grounded in respect for Bangladesh's sovereignty and institutions. In practical terms, the UK supported the Bangladesh Election Commission, focusing on election planning and preparation, improved communications, civic education, and electoral reform. We particularly placed emphasis on ensuring that women, young people, and marginalised groups could participate meaningfully in the political process. And of course, February's election, assessed by international observers as credible, marked a significant democratic milestone. The United Kingdom warmly welcomes Bangladesh's peaceful democratic transition and looks forward to working closely with the new government, led by the Honourable Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, on our shared priorities that will deliver for the people of both our countries. This commitment was underscored by the attendance of Seema Malhotra MP, the UK's Minister for the Indo-Pacific and for Equalities, at the new government's inauguration in February. As the only Western country to send a serving government minister, her presence reflected both the depth of our partnership and our ambition for the future. Underpinning our bilateral relationship is a deep and mutually beneficial economic partnership. As one of the largest investors in Bangladesh, the UK is a reliable, long-term economic partner. From finance to fashion, education to energy, British businesses have supported Bangladesh's economic transformation. Last month, the UK's trade envoy to Bangladesh, Baroness Winterton, made her third visit to the country in a year, underlining our commitment to deepening trade ties. As Bangladesh approaches graduation from least developed country status, our focus is on supporting a smooth and sustainable transition. The UK's trade preference regime, the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, is widely regarded as one of the most simple and generous in the world. Bangladesh currently benefits from duty-free access to the UK market on 99.8% of product lines. Following graduation, there will be a 3-year transition period, after which 92% of product lines, including ready-made garments, will remain duty-free and have duty-free access to the UK market. This is good for Bangladesh, but it's also good for UK consumers who benefit from lower prices. We are also working to support economic reforms and cut red tape. We have provided targeted technical assistance to BIDA and the Ministry of Commerce to strengthen trade policy capacity, improve compliance with international standards, and help support export diversification. Our Customs and Revenue Authority, HMRC, is working closely with Bangladesh's National Board of Revenue to modernise customs processes and improve trade facilitation. And we are working with Bangladesh Bank on financial sector stability, including a partnership with the Bank of England. And our support to economic reform is also backed by substantial UK investment finance. British International Investment, the UK's development finance institution, is investing £450 million between 2022 and 2026, investing in job creation and innovative companies, including small and medium-sized enterprises and women-led enterprises. UK Export Finance, our export credit agency, also has up to £2 billion available to support major projects in sectors such as infrastructure, healthcare, renewable energy and aviation. Taken together, all these measures demonstrate the UK as a reliable, long-term economic partner. Alongside this, the United Kingdom is committed to supporting Bangladesh's efforts to strengthen economic governance and tackle illicit finance. Since June 2025, the UK has frozen over £250 million of assets in the UK linked to Bangladeshi individuals, underlining our determination to uphold the rule of law and the integrity of the international financial system. The United Kingdom will also host an illicit finance summit in London this summer. The summit will bring together international partners to strengthen cooperation, share expertise, and advance collective action against illicit finance. And of course, we hope to welcome the Honourable Finance Minister to London for this important gathering, should his diary permit. Yet economic growth cannot be sustained without building resilience to climate risk. As you know, for Bangladesh, climate change is not a future challenge to be managed at some point in the future. It is a reality now. That is why climate action is a central pillar of our work together to support Bangladesh's long-term prosperity, economic resilience, and energy security. We know Bangladesh is on the front line of climate change. That is why our climate cooperation focuses strengthening resilience, protecting communities, and supporting sustainable growth. I have seen this partnership firsthand, including in the Sundarbans, where UK support is helping communities adapt to the impacts of climate change, whilst helping to safeguard one of the world's most important ecosystems. We are also working together to strengthen preparedness. We have a partnership between the UK Met Office and the Bangladesh Met Office to support improved flood forecasting and early warning systems. We know that better data and earlier warnings saves lives and reduces economic losses. But public policy and technical expertise alone are not enough. Mobilising finance at scale is also essential. That is why climate finance is a core focus of our engagement here in Bangladesh, including working with the government and the private sector to unlock blended finance and private capital, moving from pilots to scale. And Bangladesh, of course, plays an important role globally. Its voice has helped shape the international debate on climate change, and we are proud to work alongside Bangladesh through the UN COP process to ensure climate-vulnerable countries are heard and acted upon. Climate resilience and economic progress also depend on security and stability in Bangladesh and the wider region. As Bangladesh's role in regional affairs has grown, so too has the importance of defence and security cooperation between our two countries. Bangladesh is a significant contributor to regional stability, maritime security, and of course, United Nations peacekeeping operations. The UK recognises its important responsibilities in the Bay of Bengal. That's why I'm delighted about the recent government-to-government agreement for the transfer of the former Royal Navy HMS Enterprise, a UK-built hydrographic and oceanographic survey vessel. Enterprise will enhance Bangladesh's ability to conduct hydrographic and oceanographic surveys, strengthen navigational safety, and support marine resource management across the Bay of Bengal. It will also provide opportunities for scientific research and collaboration with Bangladeshi universities and research institutions, contributing to Bangladesh's wider blue economy ambitions. More broadly, the Enterprise Agreement underscores the United Kingdom's commitment to supporting Bangladesh's military modernisation that is capability-driven and aligned with regional stability. The UK continues to support Bangladesh through military training to help shape Bangladesh's future military leaders. And in the broader context of regional stability, another very important element of our partnership is our work together to tackle the Rohingya refugee crisis. The United Kingdom continues to stand firmly with Bangladesh in responding to the needs of the Rohingya refugees in Cox's Bazar. We recognise the extraordinary generosity of Bangladeshi people, particularly in the host communities down in Cox's. Since 2017, the UK has provided £458 million in humanitarian support to provide life-saving assistance, protect the most vulnerable, and, importantly, to also support the host communities. At the same time, in the context of declining global aid, we are increasingly focused on supporting greater self-reliance and skills development. So when the conditions are right for them to return home, they are equipped to do so. And the UK continues to work to keep the Rohingya crisis on the global agenda, including through the United Nations Security Council. We are working to support greater responsibility sharing and pressing for a long-term political solution, working closely with the government of Bangladesh and our international partners. And of course, working together to tackle illegal migration is another area of close collaboration between the UK and Bangladesh. The UK government has been clear about our commitment to restore control of our borders. We recognise the positive contribution that lawful migration makes to our society, but we are clear about the serious harm caused by those who exploit vulnerability for personal gain. Unscrupulous visa agents who mislead and deceive Bangladeshi citizens undermine confidence in our migration systems and expose individuals to serious financial and personal risk. That is why the UK is working closely with the government of Bangladesh to tackle visa abuse and visa fraud and to return those who have no right to reside in the UK. We want to ensure that movement between our two countries is safe, legal and fair, and we are very grateful to the government for the close cooperation in this area. As I conclude, I want to briefly place our partnership with Bangladesh in the context of the UK's wider foreign policy, because of course the two are increasingly intertwined. Our foreign policy is based on a key principle. Foreign policy must deliver security and prosperity at home while upholding the rules-based international system. That formulation may sound familiar, but the world in which it must be delivered has changed profoundly. Today, the international system is under acute strain. Instability in the Middle East continues to reverberate far beyond the region, shaping global energy markets, disrupting global shipping routes, and driving price volatility that affects households and industries from London to Dhaka. Freedom of navigation, particularly through critical choke points such as the Strait of Hormuz, is therefore not simply a regional concern, but a global economic imperative. Bangladesh has felt these shocks directly through energy prices, transport costs, and supply chain disruption, underlining how closely our economic interests are now connected. At the same time, Russia's illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine has returned large-scale war to Europe and delivered a direct challenge to sovereignty, borders, and international law. Its consequences are global. Disruption to food and energy markets has fueled inflationary pressure across developing and emerging economies, including Bangladesh. And the credible reports of Bangladeshi migrant workers being deceived and exploited in the conflict add a deeply human dimension to this war. Against this backdrop, the UK's foreign policy will be integrated, long-term and anchored in our national interest, combining diplomacy with credible defence, economic resilience and strong partnerships. In conclusion, let me return to the central theme of my remarks today. The relationship between the UK between the UK and Bangladesh is deep, broad and forward-looking. It spans democracy and governance and human rights, trade and investment, climate leadership, security cooperation, migration and joint action on global and regional challenges that affect us both. Bangladesh is a key partner with whom we work to strengthen resilience, support growth and uphold the rules and norms on which stability depends. For Bangladesh, the UK remains committed to be a predictable long-term partner, committed to working alongside you as the country continues its remarkable transformation. Onik Donabad.
Thank you, Excellency. We can now open the floor for question and answer session. We can take 3 questions together. First, Mr. Imran Alam, our former president, is representing Naradiganto.
Thank you for your excellent speech. It's actually touched upon all the relevant issues within Bangladesh and UK. As you know, after holding a relatively peaceful election, now the government and the opposition party is involving in increasing confrontational politics regarding the implementation of July Charter. So what's your opinion as a development party?
Bhushir Bhai, our former General Secretary, is representing Bangladesh. Hey, how can I see? You don't need mic.
To improve, to reform, is supportive of reforms in Bangladesh. As I set out in my remarks, a number of areas where we've been working with the interim government and now discussing how we can work together with the new government of Bangladesh. Economic reforms, we talked about how we can work together on tackling climate action, how we can work together on the issues of the Rohingya refugees. So there are so many areas of our partnership, and we very much want to focus on that and how we can work together to strengthen and deepen those ties even further. There was a question around defence and security. As I said, we have a very long-standing defence and security cooperation. We work together. I mentioned the government-to-government agreement for the transfer of the former HMS Enterprise. That's I think, a very positive sign of defence and security cooperation. And as I said in my remarks, we're also working together to support the training of future military leaders. We work with the National Defence College and also support through our other professional military education back in the UK, but also here in Bangladesh. So there's many areas where we work together on defence and security cooperation. And then, as I'm sure you'll understand, it's not possible for me to discuss private meetings that I have with members of the government here. I'm sure you understand that. But of course, what we do discuss is the strength of our partnership, the strength of our relationship, and where the UK and Bangladesh can work together further on our shared priorities so we can work together in the best interests of both of our countries. Oh, and there was one last question, and of course you'd also understand it's not possible for me to discuss possible returns. You know, that's not an area. We can't discuss individual cases, but what we do is work together closely in such a broad area of issues that we have a very good relationship where we can talk these things through.
Okay, I'm going to Mr. Mishu, Aslim Mawashin Mishu, then Mahfouz Mishu. Yeah.
Thank you, President. Excellency, my name is
One question, Mishu. One question.
Yeah.
Not A, B, C.
I do have ABC. Like, Excellency, you know there is an agreement of reciprocal trade with USA, with Bangladesh. So, as you said before, like now the bilateral become the global issue. So, do you feel discrimination due to this agreement? My second question was on the illicit money that actually landed in your country for a long time. I mean, you have been featured for the illegal and money laundering country. So, are you going to send those Bangladeshi monies back to our country? Thank you.
Thank you. Mahfouz Mishu, right?
Excellency, thank you. My name is Mishu. I represent Jamuna TV. My question is about there are many kind of reform initiatives from the interim government, and after that we have seen especially some issues of human rights, disappearance, banking sector, some things are abolished. How you are a very active advocate of reform, especially on human rights issues. So how do you see this kind of initiative by the present parliament and the government?
You can answer this question, then we can go for it.
Right. Well, firstly on trade, obviously it's not for me to comment on a trade agreement between two other countries. My focus is on the trade partnership between the UK and Bangladesh. And of course, as I said in my remarks, that is a very strong partnership. And the trade agreement that the UK, or the trade regime the UK has in place, which Bangladesh benefits from, is very much, I think, one of the simplest and most generous in the world. And Bangladesh is benefiting I think, one of the most generous one of the biggest beneficiaries from that trading scheme globally. So I think that's where I want to focus my comments and remarks. And what we want to do is to support Bangladesh to export even more to the UK market. And that's absolutely the intent and purpose behind the developing countries trading scheme. We'd like to support more Bangladeshi companies export to the UK in a wider range of sectors, be that agro-processing, be that leather, be that light engineering. We think there's real opportunities for Bangladeshi companies in the UK market. And as I said, it's not just good for Bangladesh, it's also good for the UK consumer, because they benefit from access to good quality products at lower prices. So that for us is a key priority. You also mentioned asset recovery. That is something that we have worked very closely with the government on over the last 18 months to 2 years. We are very committed to working further in that area. Of course, we can't talk about specific cases. They all need to follow due legal process and make sure that they are evidence-based. But it is a high priority for us. We have, as I said in my remarks, frozen £250 million of assets currently in the UK. So I think that gives you a very strong demonstration of the commitment to working with the government on this area. And of course, as I said, we are hosting an international illicit finance summit later on this summer in June, where we will bring partners together to see what more we can do as an international community to stop the challenge of illicit finance. And of course, we hope that Bangladesh will be represented at that summit. We look forward to welcoming the Honourable Finance Minister should his diary permit. So I hope that gives you a sense of just how committed the UK is to working with Bangladesh in this area. And then your question was about reform initiatives. Well, of course, we are supportive of reforms. We've worked very closely across the issues, and we're supportive of reforms that improve governance and improve human rights and improve stability here in the country. Of course, as I said, those particular ordinances that you mentioned, that's a matter for Parliament. We now have a functioning Parliament in place, a parliamentary democracy, so it's for Parliament to determine what reforms and what acts and ordinances go forward. So of course, and those conversations I know are ongoing.
Rashad Mihdi, I will come to you.
Thank you, Mr. Leader President, for giving me the floor, and thank you, Excellencies, for your nice presentation. My question is related to the human rights issues. We know that the UK basically is a very good advocate of human rights worldwide, and a lot of human rights organizations are also working in UK-based or US-based, still in working in Bangladesh also. And last 15, 17 years, and more than 20 years, you are very much vocal against the human rights violations, atrocity like this. But nowadays we are thinking like that after the rising of the mob atrocity in Bangladesh during 2 years, surprisingly, your UK and US-based human rights organization, they are now surprisingly silent. And they are not talking about this much, they are not voices much more loud against the mob atrocity and brutal killing in everywhere in the country. It is Kustia, it is Manmanshing, so we see, and mob atrocity is ongoing also. What about your position and your opinion, because you are the good advocate of human rights? Thank you.
Ishwar Jahan Urmi Appa from DBC News.
Excellency, my name is Ishwar Jahan Urmi. I just add to both my colleagues. These governments just enjoying their honeymoon period yet. And democracy is taking place here and there still. So
well, thank you. And as you have rightly said, the UK has long had a long-standing commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights around the world. We work with the United Nations Human Rights Council and the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights to help protect and promote human rights around the world and uphold the international rules-based system. And that is something the UK has traditionally been very committed to and continues to be committed to. You mentioned UK organisations. I can't speak on their behalf. I speak on the behalf of the British government. But I think that commitment to international human rights across the world is very, very important. One thing I didn't mention in my remarks was, of course, that the UK has just taken over as global co-chair of the Media Freedom Coalition as well. And I think that, again, is a very strong signal of our commitment to human rights, to freedom of expression, and to media freedom. And so I hope that demonstrates just how important we take these issues, and we will continue to advocate for human rights around the world as part of the work that we do. The next question was linked to that, the mob uprising. Of course, the government has been very clear since coming into office that their desire and their intent is to focus on rule of law, and that, of course, is very important. And I've been very struck as well by the comments from government ministers around the importance of reassuring communities, upholding the rule of law, and their commitment to do that. So, of course, I think, and that's very important to address the issue that you discussed. On the Middle East conflict, I mentioned it in my remarks. As I said, it's an issue that doesn't just affect the region. It's affecting Bangladesh, it's affecting the UK economy, and so it is reverberating around the world. The UK is obviously the conversations between US and Iran, those negotiations are happening. But of course, we are working heavily behind the scenes to promote a diplomatic solution to the crisis. My Prime Minister co-chaired a meeting with President Macron on the 17th of April, bringing together over 45 countries from around the world to discuss the situation in the Straits of Hormuz and to be able to work through a diplomatic solution to the challenges and to the crisis. And that's very much our focus at this time.
So we have 10 more minutes. We must have that one.
Your Excellency, thank you. What really don't have to hear the question about Tariq Rahman's extradition. No more. Anyway, my question is that for sometimes we have been hearing from the development partner about national healing or reconciliation or national healing. So, and many linked this to the incorporation of the Arab League in the political stream. So what is, as a development partner, what is your view on this? And the second thing is you must know about the MOU between Bangladesh and UK signed on the purchase of the Airbus. So what is the latest status of the deal as you have discussed it with government officials, and whether it will have any impact on our bilateral ties if the government delinked it from this MOU. Thank you.
Our last question, Mr. Ashikur Rahman Opu. Panthor, do you have any question?
Hello, Excellency. I'm Opu from EKHON News. I just want to know about the thinking of UK on Rakhine situation. How long is go on?
The events of July 2024 remain very fresh in many people's memories, and the political or the situation still feels very raw. So what we welcome is very much the government's commitment in their manifesto to a Truth and Healing Commission, because that will be an important step towards justice, accountability, and also truth-seeking for abuses that were committed under the former regime. So, of course, that will be an important process to take forward the national healing that you describe. You asked about the MOU on aviation. That was a government-to-government agreement, and it's really framed to help improve or strengthen the partnership between the United Kingdom and Bangladesh on aviation. We know Bangladesh has an ambition to be a regional aviation hub, and we believe that the UK can help support those aspirations and those ambitions. So of course we are working to take forward that agreement. It's a government-to-government agreement. Of course I can't comment on commercial negotiations that are going on at the moment, but we are very committed to supporting the ambitions for Bangladesh, Dhaka, to become a regional aviation hub, and that is the context in which it was signed. You asked about Rakhine State. As I said in my remarks, the UK is one of the largest donors to the Rohingya response in Cox's Bazar over the years, £458 million since 2017. But we are also a significant donor to support the humanitarian crisis in Rakhine State as well, because obviously there is a very significant humanitarian crisis there, and so we want to play our part in supporting the people of Rakhine in this difficult context. But at the same time, what we are doing is using our work through the UN Security Council to try and maintain the international spotlight on the situation in Rakhine, and as I said in my remarks, to try and help support a political situation, a political solution to the crisis there. So of course we are working across all elements of the crisis to try and support Bangladesh to take forward and to manage what I know is a very difficult crisis. And as I said, we are extraordinarily grateful to the generosity of the people of Bangladesh and the host communities for all they are doing to support the what all you are doing to support the Rohingya refugees at this very difficult time. Democratic trajectory and economic outlook. Well, of course, as I said, we have a very strong economic partnership with Bangladesh. We have worked together on democratic reform over the last period. I mentioned our support to the Election Commission, and we also have other areas of work where we are supporting governance and democratic reform. So those are all areas that we want to work together in the future. And of course the economic outlook as well. As I said, we're doing a lot of work on structural economic reform, working with Bangladesh Bank, working with the National Board of Revenue, with the Ministry of Commerce, with BIDA. But of course the current economic climate is affected by what's happening globally as well. So navigating that is a challenge for many countries around the world, and that's why we want to work even more closely together with Bangladesh at this challenging economic time. And you talked about you asked for more information about the work on asset recovery. As I said, we are very committed to working together on this. We've frozen £250 million of assets since June last year. But of course, taking time to return assets, it does take time. It's a legal process. It requires a very strong evidence base to go through the legal system. So it's not something that can happen overnight, but we are committed to taking that forward. And of course, we remain ready to work with Bangladesh on these issues. We have experts to experts talking, technical level discussions are regularly happening, and so we want to work together on this issue. But as you know, these legal processes do take time.
We have 10 minutes to conclude. Okay, last question, Mr. Tanji Manohar from
I
GSS.
do represent the State News Agency. I'd like to go back to the aviation issue. I have two issues. Like we know that Civil Aviation Authority actually has confirmed that there would not be any open tender. It would be the prerogative of the Japanese consortium. So my query is like, how you are, what's the take on that? If there would not be any open tender regarding the mandates. And my second query is that we know the government is going to deal us Boeing aircraft side within a couple of days. And this is a part of the US tariff negotiation. As you and other EU ambassador advocated for the Airbus, what's your comment on that? So, do you think is it a commercial deal or a geopolitical effect? Thank you.
partnership last month in the presence of our trade envoy, Baroness Winterton. That was really to set out how the UK and Bangladesh can work together, how we can support Bangladesh's ambitions to become a regional aviation hub. But of course, it's not. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to give specific detail on commercial discussions. All I can talk about is the government-to-government ambition, which is very, very strong. On Airbus, again, I can't comment on commercial negotiations, but what I can say is that we believe that Airbus, a mixed fleet strategy, diversifying, would bring significant benefits to Bangladesh, and again would enable Beeman to help support that aviation, those ambitions for Bangladesh to be a regional aviation hub. But you'll understand I can't comment on commercial interests. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for answering all the questions.